All right, so welcome everybody. Let's today talk about how to grow the leader within ourselves, how to gain the tools to do that, and how to grow to the next levels of leadership. And we were talking earlier today about the importance of relationships, which is going to be a huge part of leadership and teaching and supporting one another. But wanted to start with a concept from my favorite author in the whole wide world, John Maxwell. Those of you who were in Las Vegas with us may have received this book or one of his books. And we love Maxwell so much that we named our youngest son Maxwell after John Maxwell. So I can't wait for him to get old enough to start reading these books to be able to leave him the gift that John Maxwell has given all of us in our lives. But this particular book is Developing the Leader Within You. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be going through his chapters together because this really is the epitome of what we're doing here in this business. It's not just developing the leader within you, but his next book is Developing the Leaders Around You. And in chapter 1, John Maxwell starts by talking about influence. So write that word down, influence. Our influence is everything. And if you write down the definition of leadership, leadership is the ability to obtain followers. Leadership is the ability to obtain followers. Maybe you've been in business for a long time and you look back and you turn around and you feel like no one's following you. Well, I want you to stay encouraged because the good news is that with time, you can get better. And leadership is like a fine wine. A fine wine. Over time, it becomes richer. It becomes bolder. It becomes better. And so the same thing with leadership. Leadership was not developed in a day. John Maxwell likes to say, it's not like the stock market. You've got to buy and hold, right? You've got to let it sit. You've got to let it grow. And it's the same thing here. And so how do you obtain more followers? And that's by growing your influence. So let's talk about how to grow in our influence. But I first want to talk about the concept that everyone influences someone. We all have the opportunity to influence someone every day. Would you agree? We have coworkers that we're around that we influence. We influence our children that live with us. We influence our spouse. So many times, Dave doesn't know why he's making a decision that he is. That's because I quietly, slowly kind of nudged him over time to help him, right? I wasn't brainwashing my husband, but I was kind of nudging him in a certain direction. You guys all know. So those that are closest to us are the ones that we get to influence the most. So leadership is not something that we do at an arm's distance. Leadership is something that we do, right, by bringing them in and bringing them close to us. Some people might say, oh, I don't want them to see all my flaws. I'm not perfect and I haven't figured it all out myself. So how could I possibly lead other people? I don't want to bring them close. Guess what? People are going to love you when you love them. People are going to love you when you love them. So don't worry about being perfect. They will accept you 100% with all your flaws. And actually, when I started in this business, I was younger than every other person that I was leading. Because I started young, I started in my 20s, and it seemed as if people that wanted to join me in the business, and this is a volunteer army that we lead, right? They seemed to be older than me. So how in the world can someone younger lead someone older? It's by bringing them close and by not trying to act like you have everything together, not trying to act like you know all the answers. They knew that I was younger, that I had less life experience, but they appreciated the fact that I wanted to bring them in close and that I was willing to learn, grow myself. They saw that. They also appreciated the fact that I wanted to help them grow with whatever I could contribute to them. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to share my screen and show an illustration about the 5 levels of leadership in John Maxwell's book, Developing the Leader Within You. He also has a whole book called The 5 Levels of Leadership, if you just want to dive deep into that. But I learned this from day one, and still to this day, I am learning this. Why? Because I'm trying to constantly grow as well myself to become a better leader and to get to the next level. We're always growing. So let's take a look at these 5 levels of leadership. And what I want you to do is eventually at the end, I want you to decide which of these levels are you on. So the first level of leadership is called position. And hopefully you can see with the teeny tiny writing there. On leadership level number 1, position, people follow you because they have to. Maybe you're their boss. They have to follow you or they get fired. Maybe you're their coach. They have to listen to your instructions or they're off the team. But at leadership level number 1, this doesn't go very far beyond your title, boss. So if it has nothing to do with work related and you're inviting them to go out to the movies or something like that, or to join the company softball team, they might not listen to you when you're playing softball, okay? And here in this business, we have 48 hours. When it comes to leading a volunteer army, you have 48 hours to use your position as their sponsor, as their leader, right? To give them instructions, which is why it's so important to do that game plan with a brand new associate within their first 48 hours, right? Take them to the team website and walk them through the 3 steps. It is so important to do that before your level of leadership wears off. Now, that's why we want to start working on leadership level number 2. Leadership level number 2 is permission. People are now following you because they want to follow you. And why is that? Because you've brought them in close, because you have a relationship with them. This level is all based on your depth in relationship with them. So what are ways that you can grow your relationship with people? Well, first, it's frequency and communication. And Al and I were talking about this the other day, how if I'm just texting you all the time, I don't have the right to text you if I haven't spoken to you every 4th text messages. So if I've texted you 4 times already without physically picking up the phone and connecting with you, you know, hearing what's going on with you, hearing the tone in your voice, are you up, are you down, right? We have the ability to influence someone, whether we're cheering them up, whether we're raising their vibration by you being in their lives and you being that positive person speaking life into them by just being around them. Someone once told me that my main job as being a leader is being the most positive person in everybody's life. And if I just focused on that, that would take me so far. It would take me pretty far. When people look at your phone, when you call them, do they want to answer your phone call or do they want to send you to voicemail? Are you positive when you speak to people or are you negative? Do you spend your time complaining a lot? Do you spend your time being critical of the person you're talking to? Or do you spend time praising them, filling them with affirmations, complimenting them, telling them how great they're doing, encouraging them? If that's all you do, they will want you in their lives more. And if you can stay in their lives through relationships, by developing that relationship more, by being positive, then they'll want to take your call, then you can learn more about them. Asking questions about them. Also in leadership, in the beginning, I thought I had to be the one that knew all the answers, and I thought that I had to be the one doing all the talking. Wrong. In leadership, especially in the relationship building phase of getting their permission, it's actually doing more listening than you are doing talking. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth in that proportion for a reason. And so if we can spend more time asking questions to get to know the person, they all of a sudden feel, oh my gosh, this person's amazing. I'll never forget my first date with Dave. He spent time asking me lots of questions about me. And at the end, I'm like, this guy's great. I feel like I know him so well. I feel so connected to him. And I've been on other dates before Dave where they spent the whole time talking about themselves and how great they are. So a person that you lead doesn't care how great you are. They don't care how much you know. The person you lead doesn't care how smart you are, how much information you can provide them with, how much money you've made, how awesome you are. They don't care about that stuff until they know how much you care about them. And you can show people that you care about them by asking questions about them and listening and getting to know them better. What also helps on the relationship level? Live events, getting together for lunch, having coffee together. It doesn't need to be for business. It can just be, hey, let's go out to lunch. Let's it doesn't have to have an agenda. Of course, if you're meeting with the opposite sex, you want them to make sure that they know that it is a business relationship that you're going out for. Maybe you bring your spouse with you. Or in the church, I worked at the church for a period of time, and there was always a rule. You always had to go in pairs of 3 if you were meeting with the opposite sex. So always had go in pairs of 3. What else can you do? Live events, our live business briefings, our local luncheons, our Super Saturdays are huge for relationship building. Not only for them to build relationships with you, but for them to build relationships with other people. Maybe Ray hit it off with Bob Joseph when we went to the lake a few weeks ago. And now Ray and Bob, or Ray and AJ, hit it off. So now Ray and AJ are buddies, and that helps grow Ray in wanting to stay in the business. People will quit on a business partner all day long, but they'll never quit on a friend. And if you can learn to introduce your new associate to as many people in the business as you can, the sooner, the better. I was listening to Darren Daly. Elizabeth Gardner sent it to me, and it's about love bombing. He talked about we have a primal need to feel accepted in our society. And anytime someone joins something new, if they don't immediately feel welcomed and accepted, then it kind of puts a little bit of a barrier up, right? But if someone immediately feels unconditionally loved, welcomed, accepted, some teams do what's called love bombing. Hey, welcome Bob to the team. Oh, hey, welcome. They're getting welcomes from everywhere. That's why on our team Facebook page, it's important to participate in welcoming people to the team, showing them the love. And on the team calls, putting in the chat, if everyone just said welcome, so each time someone introduces themselves, welcome Jenny, oh my goodness, it's great to meet you, welcome to the family, right? All of a sudden they get the love bomb and they feel anchored in. Okay, so relationships, bringing them around the fire. Level 3, let's talk about production. Let's talk about production, which is people are now following you because of what you've done for the organization. People follow you because you know how to produce. People follow you because you get results. People love to hear the industry expert. People love to listen to Melissa Wilder because she sold over 10,000 memberships. People love to listen to Brian Carruthers because he was the #1 recruiter for 10 years in a row, 7 figures. So production. People will listen to you at a certain level if you've gotten results. Right? So how do you show that? How do you work on that? Well, it's by making your goal to get into the performance club. Because if you could prove to yourself and show your team, say, hey, you want to get in the performance club, but don't just listen to me, follow me, because I'm in the performance club too. So make that a goal. Production. Here is something that a lot of leaders miss. They get to the production level, but they begin to neglect their relationships with the people that they're leading and assume that people will continue following you because now you're on the production level and you're kicking butt and you're number one, you're getting results, you're getting sales, you're doing stuff. So you think that people are going to follow you. But if the relationships become neglected, you're as good as positional leadership level number one with that person. So then you'll notice that you'll be inviting people to come join you at meetings and trainings and events and coming to conventions and stuff. But eventually, if the relationship is not maintained, all of a sudden they stop showing up. They start falling by the wayside. So we're always on a different level with each person. Just because we've achieved or accomplished certain things doesn't mean everyone's going to follow us on that level. And unless I actually know you and develop a relationship with you, who cares what I think? When I call you to tell you what to do, you're not going to listen to me if I call you and tell you what to do, even if I'm on the pinnacle level, level 5. I need to have a relationship with you, right? So we need to be working on each of these levels with the people that we lead. So as you're listening to this as well, write down the people that you lead and ask yourself, what level of leadership am I on with each of these people? Maybe just write down the 5 core people that you lead. And leadership level number 4 is development. Now people are following you because of what you've done for them. People development. This is in reproducing yourself. I at first struggled to transition to this level because I was like, how do I develop people? How do I duplicate myself, right? And it wasn't until I started to drink in personal development. Drink it in, like listening to the YouTube Tony Robbins and the Jim Rohn and reading the books, and like to the point where I'm listening to it in the shower because I'm like drinking it in so much that all of a sudden I started to find myself regurgitating the positive quotes, the encouraging messages that were being poured into me because I'm hearing it, I'm reading it. Now I'm able to regurgitate it. There was a point in my business where I stopped doing personal development. I mean, I would read occasionally, but I wasn't consistent at doing it every day because I thought I had heard it all. I thought I knew it all. I'd read it all. I've heard it before. I don't need to listen to it every day. But what started to happen there was I started to fall away from being able to speak life into people when I spoke to them and I had a conversation to them. My tank was, unbeknownst to me, empty without realizing it, thinking I'm strong because I'm a leader, because I've accomplished so much and I've hit production levels of so much. But when you're drinking it in, you don't even realize until you start drinking it again how much it was out of your life. So I want to encourage you to start listening to 10 minutes of a positive message every day. Get on YouTube, Google motivation, search motivation, start listening to that. Get on podcasts. I love Rick Warren's Daily Hope. It's a great message of motivation that Rick Warren puts out there. I like to read John Maxwell books. Maybe you like to read Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins. Just drink it in. Go to the self-help section at the library. Don't be ashamed to go to the self-help. We all need it. We're all growing, okay? And what'll start to happen is you will start to be able to develop people better by changing the way they think. Leadership development level 4. Leadership level 4 is helping change the way the people think. The way they think about things, the way they see things, the way they feel about things, and equipping them with the tools to be able to overcome the obstacles that are in their lives. Instead of being a friend and just listening to somebody complain and talk about the struggles that they're going through, listen, come alongside them, but then now you're able to actually provide tools, resources, and solutions on how they can overcome that. Now, not every student is ready to receive what you want to teach. And some people may feel like you're being more solution-oriented than you are listening to them. And there are some relationships in your life that you have to just listen, right? Sometimes my husband will go into fix-it mode. I'll say, I just want to get off my chest. I just want you to listen to me. Of course, it's the timing. You have to understand the timing of things as well. But you will start to develop more leaders by introducing personal development and sharing that with them. Also, you're giving them opportunities to shine. Maybe you're asked to speak on a team call. Well, use that opportunity to also feature a 30-second or 1-minute testimonial of someone that you're developing on your team. Sometimes you might need to get permission to share the stage if you're asked at a Super Saturday to share something or come up and train and share a little tidbit. Maybe get permission before bringing somebody up there. Is it okay if I also feature a 30-second highlight of somebody? So that, just in case. And then leadership level number 5 is the pinnacle of leadership. People are now following you because they respect you. People are now following you because of what you are and what you represent. If Mother Teresa called me, I'm going to drop everything and take her phone call. If Rick Warren called me, I would drop everything and take his phone call. Why? Because I just, respect him for what he's done, what he's contributed to this world, but then also for what he represents. So these are the 5 levels of leadership. What level of leadership are you on? And what do we need to work on to get to that next level? And of the people that you lead, what level of leadership are you on? The next time you pick up the phone and call that person, or you're talking to them, say, what level of leadership am I on with this person? Before I start barking orders at them, before I start asking them to do things or asking them to do things for us, we need to ask ourselves, where are we on that level, and start working on that with that person. So now I'd love to open it up for discussion. Let's talk about where we're at. Let's talk about what are the next steps that we need to take and the tools and the resources to get us there.